is absent. Mr. Donahue?
Here.
Mr. O'Day?
Here.
Mr. Schmidt is absent. Ms. Samara?
Here.
Mr. Fleo is here.
Here.
All right, notice of this meeting was provided to the Bernardsville News, Courier News, Star Ledger, filed with the municipal clerk and posted on the municipal bulletin board on December 12, 2017. Please all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, item number 4, we have presentations to fill the council vacancy. Would any of our candidates like to address the council at this time? Mr. Orr, do you have any particular order? Or?
It's up to them. What do you got?
Good morning,
Good
Counsel.
morning.
Very early morning.
Yes.
I'm very pleased that you've allowed me to speak to you today. I know most of you, and I think most of you know me. I sent a background information resume sort of thing to everyone. I hope they got it. If they didn't, I have extra copies here. I give one to Anthony. For the record, Karen Gardner at 131 Coast Green Hart Road. And I'm here basically to just introduce myself and my background to tell you that I believe I'm a good fit for the vacated seat of Mike Sullivan. It's unfortunate that he wasn't able to continue his year. He was a good guy, and I know that he also served on the planning board, which was very beneficial. I think my record speaks for itself. I've been very instrumental on the planning board, the open space committee. I've been the delegate to a committee woman for District 6 in Bernardsville. Been that for some time, so many years, I forget how long it's been. And I also serve as treasurer and vice chairman on the municipal committee, the Bernardsville Republican Municipal Committee. I've worked as the treasurer for numerous campaigns, and I've campaigned myself for the Borough Council. So if you've read this information, I hope that it will give you some good background when you do your evaluation.
Thank you.
Okay. Can we ask a question?
Yeah. Can I ask a question?
Karen, I have a couple questions.
Sorry.
So you ran for council 2 years ago, was it?
2017, yes.
2017.
I ran with Bill.
And you lost.
And it was.
So the voters of this community already made a decision about you. So why would you come forward after they made a decision not to elect you 2 years ago?
Not every voter made a decision not to elect me.
Okay.
So I'm not so sure that that's a disqualification.
Okay, that's fine. And will you be freely independent on this council, or will you be, would you take the advice of your Republican committee in town?
I'm a very independent person, and most people that I work with will agree with that. You can contact any of the people I work with.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Mr.
Yeah,
O'Day?
I have a couple questions. So what's your main reason or interest in serving on the council?
Well, I have served the Bernardsville Borough for some time, and I feel that with my background and my experience, it's one more thing that I can do to give back to the town.
Great. So what are your top 3 priorities for the Borough Council in 2019?
My top 3 priorities, I won't know that until we get there, but I am a consensus builder. If there are very important items that come up, as my experience has shown me at the planning board, that I take each item individually and work with the facts and make a decision, a consensus decision on the topic at hand.
So that kind of actually leads into my next question, which was that the recently elected members of the council have all committed to working together cooperatively. In fact, the mayor-elect was on the record as saying that, you know, there'll be no aisle to reach across because we're all going to work as a single team. Do you agree with that approach?
I agree that we're all in this together, yes, yes.
So what steps would you take to ensure that those objectives are met?
Well, as I mentioned before, on the planning board, there are no Democrats and Republicans, and I've proven that I can work with everyone despite or in spite of their background or affiliation.
Great. So can you provide some examples where there were disagreements that you were able to negotiate through?
Well, there were many disagreements on the fair share housing, the master plan, and we all come from different backgrounds, so we all bring different ideas, but we can all come together.
Yeah. So both you and Mr. DeLeo mentioned that you ran in 2017. So if you're appointed to this position, how would you ensure that you represent all of the people, not just those people, the subset of people that voted for you?
Well, like everyone that's sitting on this committee, you represent Republicans and Democrats as well, and I'll do the same.
Okay. So Bernardsville itself has an extremely low crime rate, and statistically it's one of the safest communities in New Jersey. So what did you mean in your written comments when you wrote that you support the rule of law in our community?
Well, just that. I believe that everyone, despite their background or where they live in the town, must abide by the rules that are set forth by both the police and the council and the planning board. Zoning, police, you know, the actual crime rate is obviously indicative that we have a low crime rate, but we have to keep it that way.
Yeah. So what areas of the law do you see as not being enforced by our local police force?
I don't see any. I just feel that we should support them.
Okay. So how many borough council meetings did you attend in the past 12 months?
I'll probably have a dozen, but I do watch the video from time to time.
Okay. So the reason I asked is I was going to ask about some specific decisions that the council made in your opinion about those. That's why I was just interested. So what's your opinion as it relates to the Downtown Development Committee's work and their recent recommendations that they made?
The only thing I have to go by is what the newspaper presented, and that I've often, all due respect to the newspaper, I often find that there's always two sides to the story, and I'm not that familiar with the details.
Did you, were you able to see the presentation that the Downtown Development Committee gave on December 10th?
No, I was at the presentation that they did at the high school, if that's what you're referring to.
No, there was the committee, Downtown Development Committee came with a list of recommendations and a proposal to the council, which the council voted on as far as creating an RFP for private developers to look at a Quimby Village idea. Are you familiar with that?
Yes, and actually they were scheduled to present it to the planning board, but that night was canceled due to snow, so they will present it in detail to us.
Yeah. So you didn't see the December 10th meeting?
No, I did not.
Okay. What's your opinion on the council's decision as it relates to open space at 251 Claremont Road?
It's fine. I mean, we have a lot of open space. I believe that we should make sure that we conserve enough resources to purchase other properties as they come along. And that one, we already own, or we already have been willed that the property in the back of that 5-acre zone. So it makes sense to purchase it.
How about your opinion as it relates to the council's decisions around the application for the recycling center in the quarry location?
As a planning board member, I voted for it, and at the time, they did not, the resolution was not, or the zoning was correct at that time, and they met all the zoning requirements, so we voted yes. And I still believe that was a correct decision at that time.
The zoning changed as part of that application, did it not, Ralph?
No, it did not. It changed after the application was approved.
Okay. What's your opinion about the council's decision as it relates to fair share housing? There's a number of different decisions that the council's implemented for fair share housing.
Can you repeat that question?
What's your opinion as to the council's decisions as they relate to fair share housing for Bernardsville?
Well, the fair share housing settlement has the force of law, and the planning board approved it. What the council does after that is separate from what we approved.
What's your opinion about the council's actions as it relates to fair share housing?
What did you do?
Well, we implemented a plan. There was a RFP for a number of developers that came in. They provided proposals. We made a selection.
Yes, there is a time limit to do that, and if the council approved it with the time limits described by the planning board and the fair share housing settlement, then it's fine with me. That's moving forward on it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Diane? Good morning.
My name is Diane Greenfield, and I've been a member of the Bernardsville Public and Municipal Committee since 2016. I'm currently serving as the secretary for the committee. I've lived in Bernardsville for the past 27 years with my husband Bob, and we have two sons, 27 and 29, who both attended the Somerset School, the Hills school system. While my boys were in school, I spent most of my time volunteering for various capacities for numerous fundraising and student activity committees. I became the go-to person anytime anybody needed any help, anytime anybody needed anybody to be in charge of something. And I always took the lead whenever I asked. I also served on the board of directors and as secretary for the Somerset Hills Youth Baseball League. I had a Bachelor's of Arts degree in Fine Arts from Fairleigh University and attended the Professional School of Business, where I got a real estate license. My professional background, prior to having children, I was a stay-at-home mom. Prior to having children was primarily in retail. I have experience in both management and buying, and most recently worked as an athletic coordinator for the parent group when the school district dropped the youth sports for the middle school. The parent group contacted me and begged me to be in charge of it, and I ran all facets for 3 years and actually created the program for them. I then recommended that the district take it back, which it is now under the district again. I truly believe that I would be a good fit for this position. I love Bernardsville. I think I've seen things that you've done downtown and the roads, and I think you're moving in the right direction. I'd like to be part of it, and I'd like to continue to be part of the revitalization of Bernardsville. I believe it's important to give back to the community. I now have plenty of time to vote for whatever you need on the council, and I'm a hard worker, I'm a team player, and I have a willingness to listen to all sides of an issue before I make a decision. And I think it's important, you know, you're asking Karen about what she thought about this opinion and that opinion, but I think it's important that, from my perspective, I'm not privy to what you know, what you've listened and what you've heard. So for me to just spout out an opinion on a topic would be irresponsible, because I'm not privy to all the information that being on the council would afford me. I don't think it matters whether somebody's a Republican or a Democrat. I think it's irrelevant. What's important is that people work together to find creative, out-of-the-box solutions. And I ask a lot of questions. I throw out a lot of ideas. A lot bad, some really good. And you never know where your best idea or your best solution to a problem is going to come from. And I think it's important to learn how to listen to everyone, because everyone could have something, a little bit of something from this person, a little bit of something from that person, and you find, hey, we came up, this is brilliant. And I think I can contribute to that. Thank you very much for your consideration.
Council members?
So I have some questions.
Okay.
So why are you most interested in serving on the council?
I'm interested in serving on the council because I've volunteered my whole life. I want to help the community. I did it in the schools while my two sons were there. I took a little break because I got a little burnt out from so much volunteering, and I'm ready to be back.
So what would your top 3 priorities be for the council in 2019?
Off the top of my head, I'd have to get in, because they could change as I know more information. But I would say property values have really gone down. I don't know how much the council can reflect that at this point, but I'd be really interested in trying to come up with some solutions or something that could help that. I love that the construction that's gone on in the King Shopping Plaza, the paving of the train station. You gotta get to Mount Harmony Road though, but it's really bad. But I think those things are going in the right direction, but there's still a lot of those stores, especially Mastro's, is like an eyesore as you're driving through town, and it really looks. I don't know how you can affect that, but I'd be willing to go in and dig and try to come up with something. Another thing would be open space. I think it's very important. However, there is a very large tract of land that one day will come up, and I think it's really important that the borough put aside resources for Meadowbrook Farms. Because if somebody buys that and develops it, then that is going to kill everybody's property values in town. I mean, we have no control over what that becomes.
So that's come up a number of times. Does that mean that that property should be focused on to the exclusion of all other opportunities in open space?
Of course not, but it's got to be in the back of everybody's mind when they vote on open space.
Sure. Okay. So you talked a little bit about, cooperation. I also mentioned before that the newly elected members have talked about, working in a cooperative team like orientation. So what steps would you take to ensure that those objectives are met?
Well, I think you have to listen to people. And that's basically it. You have to listen to different ideas and give people respect that you're going to honor those ideas because that could be the idea.
So can you provide any examples of how you collaborated with people whose opinions were different from yours in the past on some of these areas where you've worked?
I think probably not, because we all had a common goal. When I was involved in any volunteering for the schools, there were Republican Democrats who all worked together. It's just, I never worked separately with anybody, so I don't.
Yeah, no, I
don't have
sometimes people disagree.
A basis of friction to draw from.
Okay. So you've not run for the council previously,
No,
correct? No.
I thought about it, but I haven't.
So if you're appointed to this position, you're not elected to the position. If you're appointed to the position, how would you ensure that you represent everybody, all the residents of Bernardsville?
Well, that's the job. I mean, all of you represent all the residents of Bernardsville, and the job as a council member is to represent all of Bernardsville. I mean, I don't know how I would, that's just what I do.
Okay. So how many borough council meetings have you attended in the last 12 months?
None, but I do watch them.
Okay.
And
How many borough council meetings were you able to view in the last 12 months?
I watched the last two, and I periodically do watch them.
Okay.
And I did see the presentation.
Okay. Great. Well, then that was my first question. What do you think of the Downtown Development Committee's work that they've done so far, the recommendations that they made, and the actions that the council took as a result of those recommendations?
I watched it. I was, I wasn't like focused exclusively on it, so I did see it. I think it's an extremely interesting idea, and I just have one question. I have questions about it that you might have answers to. I just don't. I'm not sure about that. What would happen? It seemed to me that it was sort of like a do or die kind of a thing. Everybody has to. They have to have all the property, otherwise it's a no-go. What if somebody didn't want to sell? What would you do? Because I can tell you right now, if you would go after eminent domain, I could tell you would definitely be against. I mean, I'm open-minded to any kind of suggestion whatsoever, but to me that's theft of property, and I could never condone that.
I don't believe that what they said it had to be all or nothing. I think what they said was that developers could come back and make their own proposals.
Well, in that case, then I would be fine. I think it was a very intriguing idea. The post office can really go anywhere. It doesn't have to be there. I think it's a pretty good piece of property to be used for something else, because people go to a post office anyplace.
What's your opinion about the specific council's decision as it relates to 251 Claremont Road, which is an open space acquisition that was approved recently?
I'd have to go and look and see exactly where it is. You were talking about it and trying to describe it, but until actually walking the property and seeing what the access is, my concern with space that's in the middle of the woods is that what happens and what's the borough's liability if somebody's walking on the trail and a tree falls on their head. I live in the woods. I have trees that randomly fall all the time. One fell on my house. I think if you're going to have a trail, it's got to be maintained. What are the costs of maintaining the trail, and what's the the borough's liability? That would be my question there.
Okay. What's your opinion of the council's decision as it relates to the recycling center, which was, don't know?
No, I don't know enough about that today.
What about the council's decision as they relate to fair share housing?
I would have to look at more information on the topic before, I mean, you're asking what I feel about the council's decision, but if I don't have all the back information about how the council arrived at that decision, then I'm just like shouting an opinion. I can say, oh, I agree with it. I don't have enough information to make that judgment.
All right, thank you.
Anyone
And
else?
I have just 2 questions. So you said you're a real estate agent?
I have I had a real estate license, and I have sold real estate in the past. I've also worked with Weichert in Parsippany and with Coldwell Banker. I used to write ads for them. I worked part-time. I don't,
Okay.
I let it go.
That's fine. I had 2 questions for you. I don't think you...
Oh, you have real estate questions?
Yeah.
Nah.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your consideration.
John, anything? All right, all right, thank you. Mr. Orza? Good morning.
Good morning. I'm going to sit down.
Sure.
Okay, I guess you all know who I am, so I'm going to give you a little introduction. For close to 20 years, I've been an active community volunteer. I'm currently a member of the executive committee of the Library Board of Trustees, and I was the chairman of the search committee that hired our current director. In the past, I've been a member of most, you have my resume, I'm sure I'm funny, right? Okay. As you see, I've been a past member of most non-land use boards and committees of the borough. I currently hold or have held leadership positions in all these organizations. Voted to these positions by other board or committee peers. They recognize my leadership abilities and have asked me to come forward numerous times. Mr. O'Day asked questions about why would you want to be here? Well, the Borough Council, in my opinion, and I have a list of things here, needs to, first of all, work to reduce the size of the government and wasteful spending. Ill-fated condo projects at the train station cost us up close to $100,000. Ventures like these are not going to be acceptable anymore. Number 2, the 4.8% tax rate increase is not sustainable. 49% tax rate increase over 10 years is unacceptable. It's driving home prices down. We only have a fixed amount to spend on, people only have a fixed amount to spend on mortgage and taxes. The borough was attractive back when I moved here 25 years ago. It's not anymore. When I moved here, we were getting value for living here. Are we doing that today? Number 3, we got to put in a real effort, not a fake effort, a real effort for shared services. We need to increase efficiencies and reduce municipal tax rate. Others have done it. Why not us? Dispatchers, police, fire, borough administration, public works, all these and more need to be examined in the future. Our borrowing has gone up from $6 million to close to $15 million in a very short period of time. It's moving in the wrong direction. We're leaving debt for our future residents. Once again, driving down home values. Next, we need to expand and maintain local open space and recreational facilities that promotes healthy living and protects our environment. We need a plan, not just a purchase, we need a plan for all properties. We need to get the most out of them, both passive, active, and as open space. In summation on this, we need to be considered one of the most fiscally responsible municipalities in Somerset Hills. We are not. My message to you today is very simple. I want your vote and I'm asking for your support. We need to keep Bernardsville a great place to live. We're falling behind our neighboring communities. 3 of you present today voted to increase our tax rate last year at 4.8%, thus getting deeper into the pockets of the Bernardsville taxpayer. enough is enough. Don't be the ones to be elected and to oversee a failing municipal government, to raise our taxes and ruin our home values and quality of life. We need a change in direction. I personally am focused on doing the best job possible. The issues at the local level are most important to me and my neighbors. We need to work on all of these now before it's too late. Now, another comment was made about what would be your number one priority, and I'll say it again. All three of us have the experience and knowledge to turn our declining property valuation problem around. We need to get our municipal taxes under control and eliminate wasteful spending wherever it exists. And there's plenty to work with. My top priority continues to be finally enforcing the rental housing laws and ordinances. The housing problems are real and can no longer be ignored. The landlords need to be held accountable. We have the most up-to-date enforcement tools available. We need to start using them. We need to give the taxpayers a better return on their municipal tax dollars. Why can't not only we stop the rate of increased municipal spending over the last 10 years, but lowering it starting in 2019? Our neighboring communities have accomplished it. Why not us? That's it.
Thank you. Council members? Christine, Jeff?
Yes, I have a question. So, if you're selected, are you gonna serve?
Yes.
Okay. You've been doing this for how many years in this town?
Doing what?
Politics in this town? Why haven't you run from council?
You did.
Well, I don't think
A long time
that's not
ago.
very relevant, but,
Sure it is.
well, not really.
Why would you come forward and not let the community vote on you in a general election?
Well, as
You're
I,
coming before just the council to vote on you.
as I
Why
said-
wouldn't you run in a general election?
Okay, well, as I said before, I've come here because I think I have a lot to offer, and I can make a difference on this council, and it's only for a one-year unexpired term, so
So if you're not selected here, are you gonna run for council next year?
I can't answer that.
Okay, it's a no then. Okay, I'm done.
Mr. O'Day?
What are your top three priorities for the Borough Council in 2019 specifically?
Well, as I said here before, we need to lower our tax rate, we need to reduce the size of government and wasteful spending, and we need to enforce our housing laws that are on the books today.
You talked about debt specifically. The debt is actually down 1.7 million from its peak 2 years ago.
Okay.
Debt service plan shows it down 5 million over the next 5 years and 10 million over the next 10 years. What would you change in the debt service plan?
Well, I would just make sure that if those are the true numbers, that they're gonna be serviced, and I don't, again, that's one thing. I mean, we've seen neighboring communities of ours go into rehabilitation that's overseen by the state because their debt levels went up too high.
And what communities are those?
Mendon,
Morris County, Suffolk County.
but it doesn't matter, I'm
Right.
talking about state.
Okay.
So that's what we don't wanna get into.
The debt that you referred to, that borrowing, that increased from 6 million to 15 million, large portion of that was the referendum that was related to the roads. We've had this discussion previously, I believe, right, Mr. Orson?
I know what it was, I know that that's what their people were saying, that's the amount, but I don't see us
Ralph, when
spending
we,
$9 million on it, you know.
Ralph, when we went out for that referendum, we had bond rating agencies rate the borough's financial fiscal health. And it was with the assumption that you'd go do the additional borrowing related to the roads in the amount of $10 million, is that correct?
That's correct.
So have we borrowed beyond the amount that was evaluated at that time for the roads?
No, we have not.
Okay, so we borrowed the amount that they expected, and they gave us at the time the two different rating agencies. They looked at that debt, that amount of borrowing, which is roughly the amount of increase that we're talking about here. That assessment from the two rating agencies, external rating agencies that looked at both the amount of debt that we'd be taking on and our ability to service that debt, what did they give us as far as an assessment on those ratings?
AAA,
Both of them?
both of them.
So the roads, $10 million was approved by the town as a separate referendum to rehabilitate our roads?
Approved by the voters.
Approved by the voters.
Yeah.
and almost a 70, almost a 70% approved it. Something, it was very high. Of that $10 million that we're allowed to borrow by the community, we've only spent 7.5 million of that. We've only borrowed 7.5, so there's 2.5 million still available for the roads.
And that's 2.5 is incorporated into the forward-looking debt service plan that also shows our overall debt decreasing in the future, even as we draw down the additional 2.5 million previously approved by the voters.
What was our interest rate on those bonds, Ralph?
I believe it was 2.63.
Any other questions for Mr. Orza?
Nope.
John? Jeff, Christine?
I'm done.
Thank you, sir. All right, at this point in the meeting, if the council wishes, we could go into closed session and discuss this appointment.
We shall.
All right.
I'd like to move to go into...
For deliberations only.
Yeah, just for deliberations with this, yes.
Correct.
I'd like to move to go into closed session.
Moved by Mr.
Discuss
DeLeo.
our three candidates.
Do I have a
I'll
second? Second by Mr. Donahue. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? The ayes have it. We can go in the other room. Everybody stay here. I'd entertain a motion to come out of closed session and resume normal meeting.
I'll move.
Moved by Mrs. Leo, have a second.
Second?
Second by Mr. O'Day. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, the ayes have it. All right, council members, I'll give you an opportunity to state your opinions on the three candidates, and then I'll entertain a motion to move forward with a
Okay.
vote.
I just want to thank everybody for coming forward. This is a serious position up here. It's all volunteer work, as you know. We all need to be committed to this opportunity to serve the public, and I want to thank all for coming, Karen and Skip and Mrs. Greenfield. Anybody else want to say something?
Yeah, I'd like to thank everybody for coming forward. Obviously, you know, making yourself available for a position like this takes dedication to the town. I appreciate the interest from everybody. Obviously, hope to be able to work cooperatively with the successful candidate, and I look forward to serving the community with you.
Yeah, and I was in your position last year, so I know exactly. You know, it's definitely, you feel like you're drinking through a fire hose. And but I think we have a really good team up here coming in for next year. I think we're all sort of aligned, and you can have reasonable conversations, and reasonable people can disagree, and still get work done. So, but thanks, whoever gets it, who doesn't get it, stay involved, please, everybody.
Christine, anything?
Yes, I'd like to add thank you very much for coming forward, and I was definitely impressed by all of your volunteer service through the years. That means a lot to me, and I think to all residents of the borough, to have people committed to do, what's right for the town on their own free time, and that's a big deal, and I appreciate it very much. And again, I also hope that you'll continue, and thank you for coming out.
All right, seeing no further, I'll entertain a motion to select a candidate to fill the council vacancy.
So we vote on each person, or we work collectively? How's this?
Can make a motion
Okay.
for whoever you may think is the appropriate choice.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion for Ms. Greenfield to serve this one-year term for the replacement of Mr. Sullivan.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Mara. Roll call, Anthony?
Mr. Delia?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. O'Day?
Yes.
Ms. Zamara?
Yes.
Congratulations, Ms. Greenfield. Anthony, we'll spare you in and you can join the meeting. Come on up.
You have to move your jacket.
Oh, I have to move my jacket.
Here, put it over here. Come over here.
Yeah, if you could just,
Come.
I'd just like to get rid of this stuff.
Yeah, it's tradition that
The
new
newbie goes
come
in
to
the end?
middle and the new.
Yeah.
Okay.
because I have the Bible here. I'll just read the.
Move it over here.
Here, it's like,
You got it? Yeah, you got it.
Fraser. I, Diane Greenfield, do solemnly swear
I, Diane Greenfield, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the state of New Jersey,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the state of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
and to the government established in the United States
and to the government established in the United States
and in this state under the authority of the people,
and in the state under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly
and I will faithfully, impartially, and justly
perform all the duties of council member
perform all the duties of council members
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
and that I will not use my office
and that I will not use my office
to grant preferential treatment,
to grant preferential treatment,
nor to seek personal gain, favor, or advantage,
nor to seek personal gain, favor, or advantage,
not available to the general public, so help me God.
not available to the general public, so help me God.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
All right, moving on to the next item, item number 5, approval of minutes. November 26, 2018 minutes. Any alterations or changes by council members?
I don't have any.
No, I don't have any.
I've seen and I entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll move.
Moved by Mr. DeLeo. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Mara. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? The ayes have it. All right, item number 6, open session. At this point in the meeting, the mayor and council welcome comments from any member of the public to help facilitate an orderly meeting and permit the opportunity for everyone who wishes to be heard. Speakers shall limit their comments to 5 minutes. If reading from a prepared statement, please provide a copy and email a copy to the clerk's office after making your comments so it can be properly reflected in the minutes. Anybody from the public? Seeing none, I'll close the open session and move on to ordinances. Open a public hearing on ordinance 1789, an ordinance amending shoppers' parking spaces in the Mount Airy Road parking lot and amending section 8-4 of the Borough Code. Public meeting's open. Anybody from the public? Council? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to pass on final reading and adopt as published.
Move.
Moved by Mr. DeLeo. I have a
Second.
Second by Mr. O'Day. Roll call, please.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Mr. O'Day?
Yes.
Ms. Greenfield?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeo?
Yes.
All right, resolutions. Resolutions 18-268 to 18-278. Council members want to pull any for comment?
I have a comment
questions?
on 270.
Okay.
I also want to, Doug is here too, the 18278, just to, if anybody has any questions, that's just a different, a lower cost,
Yeah.
better quality bench.
Yeah.
So, that was it.
That was it?
That was it.
Okay.
So
Tom.
on 18270, approving membership in Bernardsville Fire Company, I just wanted to note and say thank you to Xenia Baumert and Salma Ahmed, who volunteered to be on the fire rescue squad. And it's great to see that we have young people interested in getting involved and volunteering in our community, serving our community. So thank you to them.
Anyone else?
271, what is this about, Ralph? Authorize and release a performance bond for Heritage? They're not done over there, are they? What's the performance bond release?
If I could see the backup.
Yeah.
I just need to see the backup, Jeff.
Yeah, I didn't, it wouldn't download this morning.
This is number
Yeah,
2.
there's a letter from Bob Bradley in the packet there,
277.
saying that the improvement, the completed is found to be satisfactory and substantial performance of the approved plan. He recommends that the performance bond be released subject to the placing of the 2-year maintenance bond.
But they haven't completed the construction,
I
no?
think the paperwork seemed to indicate that there were phases A, B, and C, and this was related to A, which was substantially complete. B and C still have their own performance bonds for those phases of the construction. That's the way I read it. Is that correct, Jack?
That's where I was.
Has it been inspected by the town, the work that was completed? Mr. Price
Jeff.
has a comment?
Yeah, if I may, this is for the new parish hall. So
Okay.
it's a separate new construction. It has been inspected by construction and zoning and by engineering, and that's why Ferrero said that the bond can be.
Okay, I just don't want to release money if they're not done. I mean, it's,
There was something in there about a,
We do have a letter from Bob Bradley.
Jeff, there's also something in there about a CO. Is that for the parish hall as well?
Yes. Yeah, certificate of occupancy just for the new parish hall.
Okay.
okay, I'm fine then, thank you.
Anything else? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to move resolutions 18-268, 18-278.
I'll move.
Moved by Mr. O'Day. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Donahue. Roll call, please.
Mr. DeLeo?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Ms. Greenfield?
Yes.
Mr. O'Day?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
All right, reports, report of municipal attorney. Any questions for Jack?
Jack, are we supposed to talk about some of these things in executive session, or are these for discussion in open session?
You know, it depends on the topic. Some should certainly be limited to executive session. You know, it may make more sense to hold those until the first meeting in January, you know, unless you want to go back in the executive session, you will.
Well, I definitely have some questions. I want to talk about a couple topics on the Borough Attorney Report, so we either have to move it to January or do it in an executive session today.
Yeah,
Either way, it's fine by me.
I do have something too, now that I look at this report that I want to
So we
discuss.
should do executive session.
Regarding real estate.
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
We have a second closed session. Do we? Or no?
Do we have one at
We
the
have a
end of the
second closed
agenda?
session at the end
So
of the
we'll do it
agenda.
then?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, 9B, Council Public Safety Committee. Anthony, for the record, Mr. Maris, leaving the meeting at 9:05.
Yep.
Public Safety, anything? Chris isn't here. Any questions about public safety?
No.
Seeing none.
Chief, you have anything?
Okay, 9C, Finance and Personnel.
So the Finance Personnel Committee has not met since the last time we had a report. However, we did receive a draft for the library's request for next year. We reviewed that with them, and in a preliminary meeting, we have follow-on meetings scheduled for January after they close their 2018 year. That's basically the update we have from the Finance Committee.
Anyone else? Any questions? All right, seeing none. 9D, Council Engineering, Technology, Public Works.
We had no meeting in December, but Doug, do you have anything you want to inform the?
I just want to mention that the Kiwanis Peters Park, the new playground is open.
Looks good. Yeah, I went by the other day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Anything else? No? Good? Okay, good.
That's it, Jeff?
That's it.
Okay, 9E, other committee reports and commission reports, Housing, Zoning, Zoning Enforcement Office. Any questions? Comments? Jeff, anything? We good? We got the reports and,
No, I have nothing further.
okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to items of business. 10A, cross-training, Planning Board of Adjustment, Administrative Officer. What do you have here, Anthony? I have my glasses with me, I can't see everything.
Yes, we have, Frank has some, there's time involved there, and he's been working with Renee, who also has a similar position in another municipality, and we're looking just to have some backup for Frank.
Okay.
In case he's on vacation or any other reason for him not to be there, rather than cancel a committee meeting, to have a backup for him.
Okay.
And that's what this is about. And they worked together in the last couple of months.
Yes.
So Renee is familiar with these activities of the position. It would only be on an as-needed basis.
All right. Council members?
Sounds good to me, yeah.
All right. Jeff, Diane, any questions?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. You okay with it? All right. Need a vote on this, Anthony? Or
I think
Jeff?
we could just do it by motion.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll entertain a motion to accept the cross-training to fulfill the Planning Board and Board of Adjustments administrative position. Moved by Mr. Donahue,
Also.
second by Mr. DeLeo. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? The ayes have it. All right, 10B, reorganization.
Just going to be in closed session, is that the idea?
I believe so, yeah, Jack, I believe said we could do that in closed session. We want
Yes.
stuff.
All right, 10C, 2019 resurfacing of County Road 525, Mendham Road working hours. Want adjustments to the working hours?
My impression, based on what was written, was that if they do it at night, it takes half as long as if they do it during the day.
Yeah.
Is that true? I mean, because they want the same number of working hours, but yet they get twice as much done, I guess, because they have to pause less for traffic to come through or something?
Yeah, that's one of the
Is that what the
factors,
idea
yeah.
is?
Chief, any concerns about that?
I'm sorry, I was reading it again.
It's resurfacing the Mendham Road, working at day or night.
So again, I kind of punted this one off to you. It really doesn't matter to us. The only concern I would have is if they were planning on doing it when the schools were open, because it does impact the bus routes. Makes it a little bit more difficult for some of their transportation routes. And we do have schools from out of the area, in Basking Ridge, Woodley Corner, Warren, that have private schools, have bus routes that come through Bernardsville. But as far as the rest of it goes, we can work detours, we can work at night, we can work during the day. It doesn't really matter to us, other than the buses and the schools.
Chief, in the past, when it was resurfaced in the past, was that a day job or a night job?
I don't recall.
Okay.
I really don't recall. But the only thing is that I know if they did it at night, the work would be quicker. And if they do it at the day, it would take about twice as long for them to do the project.
Are you aware of any time we've done roads at night?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so it's not like it would be we wouldn't be setting a precedent doing it this way?
No, but again, I think it kind of depends. They couldn't nail down the time of year. Do they plan on doing this in the summer? You know, when schools are closed? It would be less of an impact to us all around as far as traffic is concerned. Or do they plan on doing it, in the fall, in September or October? I really don't know what they're planning.
My impression is that residents would like it to be done twice as fast, I would think, you know?
The other thing too is Anderson Hill Road from that junction up on Mendham Road, all the way down to the center of town is planning to be resurfaced next year.
Also in
So there's
2019, but I don't have the time frame on that.
So there's some coordination needs to be done with the county on this.
As far as the night work goes.
Is Anderson Hill our responsibility?
To Mendham Road is, most of those homes are set back from the street a little bit. It's not like they're working right outside, their window next to the homes. There are some homes that are closer to the street than others. I know in residential neighborhoods, there's a concern about, how it would impact the peace and quiet of the neighborhood. But most of those homes are set back a little bit from the street. But it's really up to you in the recommendation.
What would be the cost savings if that much time gets saved, I would
It's
think?
the county.
The county's doing it. So do we have the responsibility for the Anderson Hill portion?
Yeah, that's our.
The county doesn't do that portion?
No, that's our road, up to the Mendham Road junction. And that's on the list for roads for next year. They just did the crosswalks and the ADH ramps. And then it needs to be resurfaced next year.
All right, so, any problems with the working hours?
But we have to choose day or night is what they're at. The county wants
Yeah.
us to tell them day or night.
Or I think you could just leave it up to the county.
Tell them to do what they want?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we would prefer that if it's being done. My recommendation would be is that it not be done during the day if this project is going to be done when school is in session.
Right.
So
Other than that,
what if we say our only recommendation is to not do day work during school year, and then you choose from there? Would that be a good way to do it?
that's just give them some guidance.
Just give them that guidance?
Yeah, and then you also need input from John McDowell regarding the Anderson Hill project.
Do they need an answer from us today, or can we tell them?
I don't think they need it today. I don't think this is something that's going to be.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen
February, so.
All right, well then,
You wanna
I
carry it
think
over
you're right,
next year?
Jeff. Let's get John's input, and
Yeah,
then.
just to see when the
And then
schedule is for it.
the default decision seems to be not during the day, during the school year. Other than that, whatever the county chooses.
Why wouldn't you just tell them to do it at night?
Well, because they could do it in the daytime in the summer, I think was what the
It's not-
chief was
it's
saying.
really not an issue. It's not, some residents don't like the night work, so
Yeah.
you have people on both sides of the fence, but traffic is a lot heavier.
We still have till January to talk about it more
Yeah.
with John's input as well, too,
And
so.
then, and also too, if there's a detour, then you can be sending them up night through the Bernardsville Mountains around the detours, so it might not be a good idea for people that aren't familiar with the community. Even people in the community get lost up there.
All right, so, we'll move that into January, into next year.
Yes, and we'll ask, Ralph, can you make sure John gives us some input before then?
Will do.
Thanks.
All right, item 10D, Shade Tree request for funding of a community forestry management plan, and Ed English is here from Shade Tree this morning. Does anybody have any questions or problems? The matter?
I think, Ralph, we have the money for this, $500, I think it was?
Yes.
I'm okay with that.
All right.
Fine. Do we need to vote on?
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move.
I'll
Moved by
second.
Mr. DeLeo, second by Mr. O'Day. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? The ayes have it. 10E, fuel tank evaluation at 251 Claremont.
So this is basically getting a lower price so that if they do work, that they would do the work cautiously, but if they cause damage, the company would damage to the patio surface. They gotta dig a hole, I guess, to check for oil in the sediment.
Yes. Mhm.
And if we then found some issue or we didn't buy the property, we would have to pay to fix the borough would have to pay to fix the patio if it's damaged. This gets us a lower price on the actual
If we use our own
testing
equipment?
work. No, the outside company's doing it, but they offered a discounted price if we say we'll fix the patio. The point is, if we still go ahead and buy the property, we may not be using that patio anyway, so, I mean, we might not have to fix it. So, I
Yeah,
think
the price was significant, like $1,900.
it was a $1,900 savings on a $5,700 quote, so I think it's probably worth doing, especially because the patio probably isn't going to be used long-term anyway, you know?
It says we're using a backhoe provided by the borough, we can reduce our cost by $1,900.
Right.
So is that, I guess we have the equipment for this? Or so have we got at least one?
Yeah, we have a backhoe.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we were just looking for an okay to go for the lower price, the risk of having to repair the patio, so purchase doesn't go through.
All right. Council members? We're okay with the lower price?
Yeah.
Using our
As long as the
equipment?
equipment,
And,
I move to pass this one.
yes, Dave?
Since I do know a little bit about that, the way the law is written, you cannot, the operator for the borough backhoe is not licensed to work on underground storage tanks.
There's no underground storage tank, they're just gonna test the soil.
Well, you would have a permit on file. Was the tank abandoned in place or removed?
It was removed previously, so they're just testing the soil to make sure there's no residue.
Well, there should have
They
been.
really accept, borough certification.
Pardon, Jack?
Green Acre, Jack said Green Acres.
Will not accept a borough certification,
Oh, okay.
so we have to have this done.
Private.
Okay. Council members are okay with the lower price?
Yes. So I'll move.
Moved by Mr. O'Day, a second.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Donahue. Jack, do I need a roll call on this?
No, please, that's fine.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? The ayes have it. 10F correspondence, seeing none. I'll move on to item number 11, a second open session. Anyone from the public? Council members? Seeing none, I'll close the open session and entertain a motion to go back into closed session.
I'll move.
Second?
Okay, moved by Mr. O'Day, second by Mr. Donahue.
Wait, we got an open sessions item?
Yes.
Yeah,
We have a little presentation.
Okay.
Jane's gonna make it.
okay.
Do we have to come back out?
Yeah, we have to come back at it, we have to come out of closed session. All right, entertain a motion to come out of closed session.
I move.
Moved by Mr. O'Day, Mr. Donahue,
All in favor?
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? The ayes have it.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
the talented Ed English has done a beautiful job of making you a memory book
Oh.
of your years on the council. And
well, thank you very much, sure.
and I have big shoes to fill. And I want to thank you for all the time you have given to this community.
Thank you.
And also, all the work you've started on the downtown, I hope I can do as good a job keeping it going.
Just call me.
All right, I will. Be surprised. So let's see, how's the best way to do it?
It's really to the volunteers and,
Okay.
actually, why don't you guys stand here so you guys can stand in the background?
Yeah, why don't we get it done?
Yeah. Ralph, you too?
It's beautiful. Wait to see this.
You want to move behind the chairs?
Takes two mayors.
Should we leave the mayor's chair just so it's symbolically?
All right, that's good. Yeah.
Just leave the mayor's chair.
Come on, Ralphie boy.
Thanks, Sean. Okay, let's see, did we get all of these? Yeah. Yes, I think we got all of these. We don't want to have John in there.
Big smiles from everyone now. One for me, Joe. One for me, Kevin. Thank you. Okay. I mean, it's for, it shows, it shows a lot.
You're gonna disconnect Jack eventually.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to thank you for your service.
Mrs. Leo, I'd like to thank you.
It's been a very good, productive
Yes.
years with you, and I appreciate every minute.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure serving with everyone here, and I think we were all very successful.
And I wish you all the best.
And I wish Mary Jane all the best coming into her position. I welcome Jeff to the council, and Diane. I know you guys are going to be very successful and work together next year and the next couple of years. And I'll be around if you need me. I'll volunteer a little bit too. But thank everybody. Thank you very much, and our public. And Dave, I have something to give you back that you have to pass on. Yeah, I'll drop it off probably tomorrow. It's official Bernardsville air. So I didn't open the jars. Keep it official. But thank everybody, and Ed, thank you very much for all your volunteerism and your. Mr. Wood's still the best attendance even here this morning. Thank you for all your support and everybody, all our team, our employees and everything. Chief, thank you. Everybody, Ralph, you're the leader, you're driving the ship, so you're the man. Thank you. All right, without further ado.
So yeah, as long as we're still in open session, I do want to just extend my thanks as well. Thank you very much for your service, and thanks for your time on the council as well as your time as mayor. Our council president's last meeting is this morning as well, and before we go into closed session, I'd also like to publicly thank Jeff for your service and your time on the council as well.
Thank you, I appreciate it. It's been a pleasure serving, it really has. Thank you. It's been, when I first started, those first 2 years were a little rough, but everything worked out, and I think we were very productive.
Yes, very good
and
as a
even
team.
more productive when Mr. Mayor joined us.
Thank you. Anyone
Thank
else?
you all.
All right, well, I want to thank everybody again, and I'll entertain a motion to move into closed session.
I'll move.
Moved by Mrs. Leo, second by Mr. Donahue.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. We've adjourned from executive session, and we're moving back into open session. We have two resolutions in front of us. Resolution 18279, and that would be appointing Russell Kingsland III as a probationary police officer upon satisfaction of conditions. And we're going to add a condition on that he would be appointed at step 8 of the bargaining, our collective bargaining agreement. And also resolution 18280, and that would be terminating employment of Effie Vlasopoulos. Have a motion by anyone?
I'll move.
Moved by Mr. DeLeo.
Second.
Second by Ms. Greenfield. That's it, you got your first one, that's your first meeting. And, all right, roll call, Anthony? Yes, roll call.
Mr. Delia?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. O'Day?
Yes.
Ms. Greenfield?
Yes.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion?
Motion by Mr. O'Day, second by Mr. Donahue, all in favor?
Aye.
You sure?
I'm
All right,
done.
yeah, okay. Thank you, everyone, thank you.
Thank you,